I do want to talk about Matthew Golden being wide receiver 1 off the board going to the Dallas Cowboys. I certainly don't hate this, right? I mean, like, it's a good wide receiver and they need wide receivers. They've got CeeDee Lamb and that feels like that is it. I feel as though Tetairoa McMillan is an excellent complement to what CeeDee Lamb already is as both a slot wide receiver and a Z, somebody that you move around before the snap. You get him in a lot of different alignments. You get him in some pre-snap motion and put him in some advantageous situations, however the defense comes out and however they are aligned. And I think you could do that because you have a dominant jump ball type of a sideline receiver like Tetairoa McMillan on your team. Now, again, that's not to say like a Luther Burden or a Matthew Golden wouldn't also be productive for Dallas. I would just, if you're drafting one of these wide receivers at number 12, unless you totally believe that Matthew Golden is just far and away like the best wide receiver that's left, again, I would be taking Tetairoa McMillan in this spot. I think that McMillan's presence and who he is as a receiver complements and I think opens things up for CeeDee Lamb even more. So what do you think about Matthew Golden gaining steam to be the top wide receiver taken here? And Tetairoa McMillan, obviously you guys didn't hear us say his name at all. He is slipping out of the top 20 here in this mock draft. So we'll get to him in a little bit. But your thoughts here with the Dallas Cowboys at 12 with Golden?
Yeah, I'm a believer that I would have a hard time believing that McMillan gets outside. At least for me, I don't think he should get outside the top 8. If he gets to 12 here, this is who I would take at 12 instead of Golden. I think the idea is that they want another vertical threat to open everything else up for CeeDee Lamb. If you look at Dak Prescott and the way he played the second half of 2023 and he ended up finishing second in the MVP voting, it was because he really finally found a rapport with Brandon Cooks. And Brandon Cooks was healthy. He was the vertical threat, and he opened up space for everybody else in that offense, right? So in that sort of sense, I see what Brian Schottenheimer could be thinking here with, okay, let me get this fast vertical threat who threatens safeties over the top, right, and backs everybody off and gives CeeDee Lamb as much space as possible. But to me, with his size, obviously he doesn't run a 4.2 like Golden does, but with his size and the fact that he's the highest graded receiver on 10-plus yard targets in the country over the last 2 years, I just think I know Golden's really good. He's a really good route runner. The body control's really good. He's going to be a good player.
Dude, hold on. I was going to say, he doesn't run a 4.2 like Matthew Golden does. Matthew Golden doesn't run a 4.2 on the field.
Right, and that's the other thing.
That 40 doesn't translate. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but it doesn't translate.
He got open with his route running far more than you saw the explosive speed, right? I thought his
100%,
his agility and his stop and start was actually the best part of his game, and he's a really good route runner. But I think the point is with McMillan, to me, is just fewer guys that can do what McMillan does at 6'5" and 215 than there are that can do what Golden does at, 6 foot and 195 or something. I forget exactly what it is, and I know he's fast, and I know he ran the 4.2, and that's the flashy part. But again, you're right. You have to watch the tape and go, okay, why didn't it always look like that, right? Especially in an offense in Texas where speed is king. That's all they're ever trying to do is run by people, and it seemed to me that, again, he's really good. I wouldn't take him ahead of Tet. I don't think there's any question to me that we can have the debate at the top about where we think Travis Hunter's at, but if we're taking Hunter out of the conversation, I think Tet's the best receiver in the draft.
Yeah, Jake's saying Matthew Golden, Henry Ruggs, or John Ross, bust. I wouldn't take it that far. I still think he's a good player. Slasher also in the chat a little bit earlier was saying, hey, there was somebody that compared Matthew Golden to Stephon Diggs. He was saying that he doesn't quite see it like that, but that was me. The somebody was me. That was me. I think that Matthew Golden and Stephon Diggs have similar games, and the reason why is because I thought Golden was going to show up and run something more in the mid 4.4s, closer to 4.5. And he runs a lot faster, but again, I don't see that speed on tape. And who was saying this? I think Morg was saying this in the chat. He's like, he's getting underthrown. That's why he's not playing with 4.2 speed. But I even see that in the after the catch stuff, that he's not, turning on the jets and absolutely blowing by people. So he's a really good player. I think he could be an excellent route runner. I think he could potentially be a great wide receiver at the NFL level. I just don't have him over Tetairoa McMillan. And I think that specifically for Dallas, this is a situation where somebody in the chat was asking, hey, is Ashton Genty on the board? No, Ashton Genty is not on the board at this point. So they didn't have that to think about there. Could have selected Tyler Warren. People are pointing that out in the chat. But again, I'd be taking Tetairoa McMillan here.